Welcome to the CNY Wrestles podcast. Here's your host, Mike Jones Billity.
Welcome, everybody. This is a special, quick edition of the CNY Wrestles podcast. I'm going to replay the interview with Kid Curry. Had to take the other episode down. To be honest, I wasn't a fan of it. And I know the CNY Wrestles podcast can do better, and I apologize to anyone that might have been offended by commentary. It was just commentary, two fans sitting ringside. It wasn't meant to be offensive to anybody, so we apologize for that. But I'm going to send it down to ringside right now to Kid Curry. Our first question for Kid Curry was how he felt about getting the ovation he's been getting in New York Championship Wrestling, and here's his response.
It was pretty good. I mean, the first time here with the gauntlet match or the triple threat match, I forget which one it was, probably about 5 people or so. It was a lot. You know, I never done something with so many different people. So having a little bit more controlled and having more so of a set 2 opponents made it a little bit more easy, you know. And TJ is very, very talented. You know, if I didn't have him in there, I wouldn't be able to like pick up the extra slack, because there was a couple times in there where like, I don't know, I feel like my lungs were going to explode, you know. Got pretty tired. Those guys were formidable opponents.
You were in there quite a while without tagging out. So the crowd gets behind you.
Yeah.
As soon as you are out of that curtain, you are getting cheered. And they probably don't know too much about your background, that you're a third-generation wrestler. What would your grandfather and your dad think about how you're performing?
Well, I think they would like it. My dad exclusively trains me in a gym in Holyoke. This is all Jack Briscoe, Dory Funk, that type of wrestling, similar to New Japan, maybe a little bit similar to NXT. You know, so that's where I derive my style from. My grandfather was a brawler, big time brawler, a heel. So he's more bruising, brawling, and sprawling. My father was a high flyer. I'm kind of a mix of all. But I idolize myself after a guy like Jack Briscoe, but I think they would be proud of it. As a matter of fact, I got the greatest accomplishment, I feel like, ever, because I just won Rookie of the Year for the Heart Foundations. I mean, the Heartbeat Radio Rookie of the Year. This is a pretty good wrestling forum. But the last show at NYCW, one of the medical doctors, and I think he does work with Syracuse University, came up to me and told me, "You remind me of 3 people." Now, this is probably not names that the average people would know, but he named off Antonio Rocca, Edouard Carpentier, and he said Flying Fred Curry. And Flying Fred Curry...
Did he know at that point that it was your dad?
No, he didn't. And he didn't believe me when I told him, because my father's older, you know, but he didn't believe me because I'm so young. But I showed him pictures and everything, and he was like, whoa. And the reason why it's so, like, monumental to me, I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it, is because Antonio Rocca was my father's idol, who he idolized everything he did after. So for them to tell me that I was reminiscent to that meant all the things in the world and boost my confidence tenfold.
So you said your dad is training you. Where else have you competed?
As far as professional wrestling?
Yeah.
All right, so I wrestled big time wrestling in Long Island. I wrestled in World Classic Professional Big Time Wrestling. That was in Ohio. We're going back this summer, and we're going back in the spring and the fall, actually. I got a few more dates out in that area. I wrestle a lot for, I just started wrestling for SWF in the Trifecta. Got some dates coming up with those guys. New England Championship Wrestling is my home base. They're having a little bit of a furlough now, a few health issues with the promoter, but once they're back, we'll do good. We just had a show last year, which was like freaking last month, in October, and we drew like 700 people, and for an indie show at a high school, that's pretty good. Especially, you know, in the Boston area, there's a lot of things to do, so there's excitement. You know, the wrestling scene is thriving now, so it's pretty cool. But looking to reach out more, building a resume, building tapes, gonna send my stuff out. The phone's been ringing, thank God, you know. And right now, just the goal for 2019 is to test myself against TV guys, experienced guys. I would really love to do a 30-minute match or an hour match, something more reminiscent to the Dory Funk, Jack Briscoe. And on top of that, I've still an adamant competitor in submission grappling. So I'm looking to hit IBJJF this year and a few other places.
And coming up on January 25th, you're going to be competing in Rhode Island. What company is that for again?
That is the return of Empire Pro Wrestling, Eastern Pro Wrestling. It's ran by a guy named Brutal Bob Evans of ROH. Back in the day, it was one of the hotter indie promotions around, and they had guys, Mike Bennett. We all know who that is. His name was Thomas Penmanship at the time, but that's Tommaso Ciampa. Pat Buck when he wrestled as Roost Star. They had my brother, The Rocket. Actually, me and The Rocket are teaming up, and that's going to be Freddie's return to the ring since in almost 10 years. So that'll be good. Our father will be out there managing us, and we're ready to get in there and go for it and put it all on the line. I feel confident. In 2019, I feel confident. In 2020, I feel like I'm going to make some noise.
Are we going to see you back here in New York Championship Wrestling?
Absolutely. That's definitely got dates lined up all the way till March, April, May. So and we'll see how the road goes. I got that all exclusively written down on my calendar, and I'm putting that as a priority because there's a good crowd here. I love Utica. I love upstate New York. New York's always been good for me. I wrestled in Ithaca College. Not at, but wrestled at Ithaca College at one of their tournaments in college. So it's always been nice to come to upstate New York, and it's a beautiful country. So why not?
You like the snow? You think that's beautiful?
Well, I tell you what. In Hartford, where I'm from, there ain't no snow on the ground, so it's depressing me. I had to go through Christmas, the first Christmas ever, with no snow, so I was ready to shoot someone. And I didn't even get to watch the Christmas Story. So, what the heck? When I saw the snow in Vermont coming over, beautiful, breathtaking. Definitely want to get some property around here one day in the future, for sure.
You're a glutton for punishment, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Coming up soon, New York Championship Wrestling should be introducing a singles championship. Are you going to throw your hat and name into that hat?
Oh, absolutely. I'd like to, on or off TV, a cage, 3 ropes or 4 ropes, I'm looking to do everything that's coming my way. This year was harder. Last year was harder. Started off slow, but got very, very fast. Got injured in a couple jiu-jitsu tournaments. Sprained my ankle, tore my meniscus, but I fought all the way through, and I didn't wilt at all. I wrestled through, placed, won, did my thing. Still went out to go to wrestle Bobby Fulton from the Fantastics in Ohio with a torn meniscus in front of 2,000 people. Performed. I got the win over there. We actually turned it into a tag match because Pitbull Gary Wolf and a guy named Robbie Superstar came out, so we tagged up against them, and it was great. So I'm looking to really go for broke this year. I want anybody and everything, so absolutely I'm throwing my hat in there.
Who on the roster of New York Championship Wrestling do you want to face the most?
Oh man, the most? Oh boy. Well, I tell you, a guy who kind of like rubs me a little bit funny is that HVO guy. He's kind of I can't stand cocky people, so that bothers me, and I'd like to hear him submit and cry, but above and beyond that, I'd say another guy. I'd like to pull Fox Vineyard through his hoop. I think he's got a bad attitude, and I think he needs to be. I think he needs to be humbled, and I'd love to do that. But pretty much everybody. I like to test myself against everybody, and I'm just looking to get better with every match and every opponent. So the more people, the more styles I wrestle, the better I'll get, the more I'll see. And that's the only way to get better, is by actively competing live. So I'm looking forward to that, but everybody. But the names I mentioned are 2 that reminisce with me the most.
And you probably get asked this question a lot about your grandfather, the famous cement block story. What do you know about that?
The cement block story, which one?
Which one? How many cement blocks did he use on people?
Not many, but the one that, probably a few.
One got him arrested, right? One got him landed in jail?
Yeah, one got him landed in jail, and he had to furlough to get a rematch in, and then he got out and caused a riot and went right back into jail, literally. And he got out of that, but we're talking from 1932 to 1982. the Wild Bull stayed strong and stayed the duration. He wasn't a guy for the flashy cars, wasn't a guy for the flashy anything. He came into this world from a tough beginning, was the eldest of 5 children, started off making ends meet, fighting in carnivals, touring to Pennsylvania and New York coal mine and lumberjack camps, taking on all comers. Anybody can last 5 minutes gets $5 and win 64 straight, his longest win streak with no one getting out of the first round. Debuted into pro wrestling for Adam Weissmiller, who was a mecca of Detroit professional wrestling back in the 30s. Wrestled Alibaba, wrestled, all the greats. George Doucette, the Casey brothers. These are names probably nobody even knows about. Fought Jack Dempsey in Detroit, 1941. One of the first ever mixed martial arts bouts. Sold out that arena. Really monumental. Went to Texas, and that's where hardcore wrestling was born. And with hardcore wrestling, the Wild Bull is never to be paralleled. Today, tomorrow, 3,000 years from now, there'll never be another one. On or off TV till this day, no one can match it. Caused more riots, had more bloodshed, sold out more arenas for 50 years than I don't know too many other people that can compete. You can throw guys like Flair in that aspect, but he definitely is in a class of his own. Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer. Never got the chance to meet him, but I'm fighting for everything I can. I have the best of my will to keep what we got going on, and I think the cards are in my favor.
So your father took a different approach to wrestling than your grandfather.
Yes.
And now you're taking kind of a different approach from both of them. Who would you say you tailor your style on most, your father or your grandfather?
Well, I never got to meet my grandfather, so he never really trained me, but he trained my father. So with that, I get the aggression from him. I get my punches from him. I get a lot of things. I actually mend the both of the two. But I probably gravitate a little bit more towards my father's style. But in the future, I wouldn't count out death matches or anything like that he used to shock the world with, against guys like Abdullah the Butcher and Terry Funk and the original Sheik, the only Sheik. Yeah, absolutely. But no, more so my father. Just because the hands-on training I've gotten with him, like all my moves and all my sequences I do is all from him. These are all matches. So you can actually find it on the WWE Network if you look up Curry, C-U-R-R-Y. You'll see some stuff from 1979 in Championship Wrestling, All-Star Wrestling. So that's pretty good. Yeah. And if you dig deep enough and hard enough, you can find some Wild Bull Curry matches. There's a Bull Curry match versus Johnny Valentine in Texas in 1969, which is a stellar performance from the two of them. Johnny Valentine, one of the greatest of all time, impervious to pain, but he felt a lot of pain that day. Yeah, and you can look up, you have to probably be fluent in Japanese, but there's some Japanese wrestling videos out there as well, probably from All Japan or UWF back in the 60s, 68 of my father. But we have a lot of old reels, and we're in the works of getting them transferred over, and when I get them transferred over, I'm going to put them on YouTube for the world to see, because I know there's a lot of people who wishes they could have it, and wishes they can get access to it, and I want to get access to it, so I figure it makes no sense to have them locked away and put them to good use so everybody can enjoy it.
Nick, thank you so much for your time. I hope to get you back on the show when we're not in such a loud environment. Someone wants to book you. How do they get in touch with you?
All right, if you're looking to book me, you can get in contact with me on Facebook or Instagram, but my Facebook is Nick Curry, C-U-R-R-Y. My Instagram is epitome_prodigy, but you could also find me as Nick Curry. That's pretty much what it is. But my email is nickcurrybookings@gmail.com. But probably best would be Instagram or Facebook via private message.
If you get a chance to see Nick Curry, he's an impressive young talent. You got to get out and support him in the local independent area, wherever you might be, Rhode Island, New York, wherever else he's showing up. Make sure you get out and see him. Nick, thanks again for your time.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.